To me, I always felt like the early stages of a game production are the coolest ones in terms of creativity and fun. You can't just set up an empty scene in your favorite game engine and start trying out stuff. Despite the endless nothing that your game is in the beginning, it can be everything you want it to be in the end. If you have already written down some concepts of your game like I did for Paperplay VR, you might have some clear ideas, but especially regarding details, you will still need to figure out the best way to implement your stuff. So when I set up my first test scene, I started to build the first asset of my game. So this is Glupshow, the derpy little cardboard box. If you look at Glupshow, you can already follow my thought process quite well. In the beginning, there was simply a box. Because in Paperplay VR, everything is meant to be made of cardboard. But when I thought about that art style decision for a while, I was like, if everything is made of cardboard, the game is probably gonna be brown and boring in the end. Even if you have cardboard in different colors, it is gonna get quite repetitive at some point. So I added the next part to Glupshow, that I also wanted to spread all across the game. Googly eyes. And I did not just want to symmetrically align them, but add them with different sizes to make the box look even funnier. So now what other options do we have to spice the cardboard style up with details? My next idea were sticky notes. So I added a tongue, with the word tongue written on it for some extra flavor. And the implementation of that was probably a bit overkill, because I wrote a custom vertex displacement shader so that the node would move when I would shake Glupshow around. It is not really an effect you would notice, because the googly eyes just draw too much attention, but when I wrote the shader I also had in mind to add trees later on, where the sticky notes would be moving in the wind. So at that point, Glupshow was starting to get some personality. However, it was still a bit brown. So I was researching glitter and sticker shaders and eventually got to implement them on my own. Especially the glitter shader took me about 2 days and even made me use the shader graph for the first time in my life. Although I needed some time to figure out shader graph basics, it is just so much more convenient to modify than handwritten shader code. I can only recommend that if you are still an old school shader wizard like I always was. And the last feature that I added to Glupshow were the hair strings made of foil. For those I used the Unity Clove component, which I always thought was quite cool, but I never took the time to experiment with it. So now take a look at my first asset and kneel before its greatness. That is what the test scene is all about. Experimenting with effects, experimenting with code, and building your first little asset. When I held Glupshow in my hands for the first time, that was exactly the moment when I knew I was gonna have so much fun creating this game. Because when you start building a new game, you don't do that for anyone else, at least not in the beginning. You only do it for yourself. This is supposed to be my personal playground. Although the endless nothing of my first test scene is not filled with much by now, it is filled with something. There is this little cardboard box that already adds so much personality and potential to Paperplay VR. After I gave this guy a name, I will probably not be able to ever delete it again. So welcome my little friend Glupshow. Will you accompany me from now on through the production of Paperplay VR? Let's go. We've got a lot to do. Sometime after I've built Glupshow in the game, I decided to build my own little Glupshow at home. In the end, it looked more like a cousin of Glupshow, but you know, that made me think. What if we could have like a family of Glupshows? 10 different Glupshows, 20 Glupshows, 100 Glupshows hidden everywhere inside of the game. What do you think of the idea? Let me know in the comments.